Hello, Mindset Recovery friend. This is Roberto. I am celebrating 11 months clean today. If you've watched any of my previous videos, you know that this has been a long process for me. I've been in and out of the rooms of 12-step recovery for over 30 years. I have had some health struggles and a stroke that helped me make up my mind, finally work 12 steps the way that they were designed to be worked. I have been in multiple programs, but most recently I got plugged into Narcotics Anonymous. And I have been following the suggestions that have been being given to me over the years. And once I started working this program the way that it was designed to be worked, being a sponsor, going to meetings regularly, working the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous with a sponsor, and just using discipline to do the things that I've been told needed to be done, I have seen success for the first time in my life. I have been in and out of the rooms, as I said. I would stay for a while and, stay clean for a little while and then go back out and try to figure it out again. And I knew since I had been here that this was a program that was people were successful with it, but I wasn't willing to do what needed to be done. But I knew what needed to be done. I just wasn't willing to do it. So after having had a stroke and knowing that I was going to die if I did not stop using, I made up my mind to just buckle down and do what I had to do. And, it's easier said than done, but it's not a complicated program. It's a simple program, but it's something that I had to actually apply the principles that were being presented to me. I mean, they give you a meeting schedule. When I went to my first meeting, they gave me a meeting schedule that told me where the meetings were. Other addicts wrote their phone numbers on there for me to contact them so that I could call them when I was struggling. But on that meeting schedule, it's got suggestions of what to do to stay clean. And, the first one is not to use no matter what, which seems pretty simple. But if you don't follow that suggestion, which is what I was doing, that was failing. The main thing, if you do drugs, then you're not clean anymore. Now, thankfully, for the tail end of my active addiction, I would come back in and try again and pick up another white key tag. And that is not something that I suggest as far as going back out. But what I do know is that even if you're using, being in the rooms, you'll hear the message that will give you hope. For me, it helped me realize that this program actually worked. I looked around the room. I saw people that had multiple years clean. I saw people who had 6 months clean. I saw people that were brand new. But I knew from hearing them share their experience, strength, and hope that something about this program could work for me if I was willing to do what I needed to do. And so when I finally, lit a fire under my butt and said, look, man, you've been trying to figure out how to successfully use for 30 some years. And, you were not successful. Your life was completely unmanageable. And I had to face the facts that I was going to die. I didn't want to die. I have people in my life that rely on me. And I was tired of being sick and tired. And I said, okay, I'm going to try it this time. And I've even had people, my sponsor told me he's got 10 years clean, that when he got here and they told him come to 90 meetings in 90 days, that he came to the 90 meetings to prove to everybody that this program didn't work, and found out that it did indeed work. And that 10 years later, he's still clean and he's helping other addicts get clean. So, I mean, it doesn't matter what your motivation is, but if you don't want to die and you're looking for a way to get out of the mess, I know from personal experience that 12-step recovery works. I also do some 12-step recovery at my church. That's faith-based. It's called Celebrate Recovery. All 12-step programs, in my opinion, are based on the same 12 steps that originally came from AA, that started back in the 30s. They started with alcohol, and it just expanded through, because I know for me that drugs were not my problem. They were my solution to my problem, which was a mental and spiritual problem, and not spiritual like religious, because you can be religious and use. I did it for a long time. I went to church, I gave money to my church, I read the Bible, I prayed, and I got high. So religion is not going to save somebody. But spiritual principles, which don't have to have anything to do with a particular God or religion, it's just a higher power. So now, higher power, people hear that and they're like, oh, that means I got to, pray to this God or that God. Higher power just means that there's something out there spiritually that is greater than I am, that I'm powerless. Step one is I'm powerless over whatever it is, powerless over my addiction. Okay, is what NA says. Obviously, I'm powerless over it, or I wouldn't have continued to use drugs against my will. So you submit to a power that is of your own understanding. I mean, you can make it up. It just has to have qualities that it's more powerful than you. It loves you. It cares about you. And, when the chips are down, that you reach out to it, it's going to help you stay strong. And, it will, over time, people say it kind of grows into an understanding of something that's personal to them. But I mean, it even says in the program, you don't have to believe in anything specific. You can just believe that I believe. You can say, look, this dude, he's got 11 months clean and I don't. He believes in something and I believe that he believes. And I don't know what he believes in. But I mean, you just believe that power has access to you if you're willing to open the door. So, I know it sounds crazy, but my suggestion would be that if you're tired of using against your will, whatever that is, substances, people, gambling, food, doesn't matter. Whatever you're putting in your body to make yourself feel better, if you're doing it against your will, I mean, I weighed 300 pounds, food, beer, whatever made me feel better for a little while. I did it, and it wasn't helping me feel better like all the time. So, that's not to say that I don't have rough days. It's not to say that crazy thoughts don't come in my head. But what it is saying is that I know that there's hope. I didn't have hope before. I knew after 30 years that getting high was not going to solve my problem, but I felt bad right then. This is a feeling disease for me, and I wanted to feel better. And I knew that if I did one more, that I would feel better. Now, I felt worse after it wore off. I felt worse the next day. But all I knew was, they say that doing something over and over again, expecting different results, is insanity. Well, I can tell you, for me, I had hopelessness because I didn't expect different results. I just knew that I didn't like the way I felt. And if I got one more, that I would feel better for a minute. And I was willing to piss away everything, my clean time, my job, my family, my health, to do one more. And you know what? That is insanity for me. And I don't want to do that anymore. But you know what? I don't know how to do that. I know how to get high. I could teach everybody how to get high. But if you want to know how not to get high, for me, I had to learn from people who had learned how not to get high. And it wasn't a magic formula of, you can take this other drug, or, you say this magic word or anything. It's like, look, it's simple, but it's not easy. You got some stuff that you're going to need to do if you're ready to follow their way. There's certain steps that you got to follow. It's nothing complicated, and you know how to do it because you've never done it before. So I had to get a sponsor. A sponsor is the guide through the 12 steps. It's somebody who's got some time of success in the program, that has a working knowledge of the program, that is willing to reach out to you when you call them or respond to you or meet up with you and work steps and teach you how this thing works. And so, they say the basics are you go to a meeting and you got to get to meetings so you can meet people, get telephone numbers, build a network of people. Most people don't get a sponsor on day one. You can, that's awesome. But you know what? I had a lot of sponsors because, I don't know people when I first meet them. But when I got a sponsor that I had success with, it was because I watched that guy and I listened to what he had to say. And I was like, you know what? This dude has his act together. And, he, in my opinion, in my whole thing was, I didn't look for similarities in people. I looked for differences. So I could go to meetings and listen to people share and say, yeah, well, there's nothing wrong with me. That dude had this going on. I've got a house. I've got kids. I pay my bills. I have a car. That guy's a loser. And you know what? If I'm going to go in with that attitude, then I think I'm better. And I think I already know what's going on. Instead, I say, what's the same? That dude was using against his will. Yeah, maybe it took him a little further down the elevator than I went, in my opinion. But, that's always an option for me. I can go back out today and start doing drugs again and go down to the level that he was at. Or I can say, hey, man, that's pretty rough, man. You got some shit going on. What did you do that made you be in this room now with X number of years clean, and you don't have to live that way today? And that's the experience, strength, and hope that they can give me. And so if you get to a meeting and then you do 90 meetings in 90 days, and that sounds like a big commitment, which, it is, 90 meetings in 90 days, you try, you do the best you can, you work your program to the best of your ability. If you got a job that prevents you from going to 90 meetings in 90 days, you do the best you can. I had to utilize online meetings, Zoom meetings. The thing about our technology today is when you can do meetings on your phone, you can call another addict. They say that, 2 addicts sharing is a meeting. Maybe I can't physically go to a meeting. Maybe I can hook up with somebody at Starbucks and talk to them, tell them what's going on with me. But what I'm saying about this being a feeling disease is I can get all up in my feelings and I can go out and put something in my body to feel better. Or I can go to a meeting or call another addict and I can get those feelings out of me. And pain shared is pain lessened. And a lot of these little sayings that they have, they sound pretty stupid, but they're sayings for a reason. If I go to a meeting and I got crazy thoughts going on in my head about doing something that's not a good idea, and I say to everybody, hey, I got this going on with me, I feel better about it. And the good news is that I'm not the only one. So I might be feeling like I'm the only one that feels that way. You don't understand. If you were in my situation, you'd get high too. That is my brain trying to trick me into doing something silly. And so today they say any addict can lose the desire to use and find a new way to live. Well, it doesn't mean that I don't think about it. I've been getting high for 30 some years. I think about it every once in a while, but if I drive past the ABC store and my brain or my disease, whatever you want to call it, tells me, hey, it'd be a great idea. Let's go in there and get a bottle of liquor and go home and drink it. I can say, that has never worked out for me in the past. Maybe I'll do something different today. And I can call my sponsor if I want to. I can call a friend in the program. And I can say, man, I had this crazy thought about going to the liquor store and getting some liquor. And, or go to a meeting and talk about it. And chances are there's somebody else that's got that same issue, or at least has had that same issue, and they can tell you their experience. So I shared in a meeting a while back that, I was thinking that I had this thing licked and that I figured out a way. There's this thing that I can do that's going to make me be able to use successfully. And he shared something really good. He's got a lot more clean time than me. And he said our literature talks about this disease is incurable and it's fatal, but at some point it can be arrested. And he said that personally, he had been incarcerated before. And he said, I've been arrested. And all I know is the whole time that I was incarcerated, I was waiting to get out. And he said, my disease is the same way. I've arrested my disease. I've stopped it from doing chaos in my life, but it's ready to get out. And it's saying, hey, man, it's been X number of years or days or months. Is it cool for me to come out and wreak havoc again? I'll be cool this time. I won't do the stupid stuff that we did last time. And it's going to try to trick me into me saying, yeah, you know what? It'll be all right. I've been clean for 11 months. I can drink a couple beers. Well, I can look at my personal experience and know that I don't look at, we looked at the stopping and not at the using, it says in our literature. There are a few times in my life when I was able to drink a few beverages, not many. The vast majority of times I drank a few beverages and then my disease was out and about and I was getting more alcohol, or I was going to find another substance, or I was just doing stupid stuff, driving my car around. That's the vast majority of the time. But my brain doesn't remind me of that. Remember that time when you got drunk and went and bought drugs and you got busted or you wrecked your car? It's not going to tell me about that. It's going to tell me about the one time that I drank 2 beers and I went to bed and I got up the next day and I went to work and I successfully used that day. Well, it's cunning, baffling, powerful, insidious. It's not going to tell me about the stupid stuff. Oh, do you remember when you got fired? Do you remember when you got a DUI? Whatever it is. It's not going to tell me about that. It's smart. It knows what I want to hear to talk me into doing what it wants me to do, because it doesn't want to be arrested anymore. It wants to be out running around, creating chaos, because the ultimate goal of this disease of addiction is jails, institutions, and death. And that sounds pretty bleak, but that is my experience. I've been in jail. I haven't been institutionalized, but I have been forced to go to outpatient rehab. People get forced to go to detox. That's institutionalized. Now, thankfully, I have not died. Came close, though, had a stroke as a direct result of putting substances in my body for a long period of time and having poor health. And it tried to kill me. And I almost died. It said, it says in our literature, most of us realized that in our active addiction that we were slowly committing suicide, but we had lost the power to do anything about it. And that was me. I knew that if I kept smoking dope and drinking and driving my car, that in all likelihood at some point it was going to take me out. But I couldn't stop. I wanted to stop. I tried to stop, but I couldn't stop. And my biggest problem was because I thought that if I just tried one more time, that I was going to be able to figure out how to be like regular non-addict and go out to the bar and drink 2 beers or pick up a 6-pack and drink some of them and go to bed and be a normal person. Well, spoiler alert, I'm not a normal person. I'm an addict, and my disease wants to kill me. So, bleak or not, that's reality. I have to face reality and say, look, the only power that I have over my addiction is not to put that first substance in my body, because once I let it out of jail, it's going to just wreak havoc in my life. And I don't want that havoc anymore. I mean, hey, if I could use and not have negative consequences, I wouldn't be making this video. I'd probably be using right now. But my personal experience is that I don't know how to do that. I'm not capable of doing it. But you know what I am capable of today? When my brain or my disease or whatever, my addiction says, hey, let's go do some drugs, I can say, how about we do not do that? And I have tools in my toolkit now, because that was my only tool. My only tool was, if I wasn't happy with the way things were going, if you weren't doing what I wanted you to do, if my boss was being a tool, if I was in a bad mood, if me and my wife weren't getting along, if my son was being a jerk, if I got high, everything would be okay. But you know what? That was bull. It wasn't okay. And I almost died. So I don't want to die. And this program has helped me not be dead today. So if you are listening to the sound of my voice, and if you're tired of dealing with something that you're doing against your will, that you know you need to stop doing, whatever it is, there's hope. There's a 12-step program out there with your name on it. It's online. You know, I went to this one site that I've talked about before. It's called intherooms.com. It's a clearinghouse for every kind of 12-step meeting that you can think of. They have Narcotics Anonymous and AA meetings on there, even for atheists. You know, hey, if you're like, you know, I think that this might work for me, but I'm not going to fool with God, then, you know, hey, do what you do, man. And they got them on there all hours, and it's free, and it's intherooms.com. You know, I don't make any money off of it, but I've used it, and it's helped me stay clean. And I like in-person meetings better, but during COVID, there weren't a whole lot of in-person meetings around. And if you're trying to go to a meeting when you're struggling, it's an option. So anyway, my name is Roberto. And if you would like to reach out to me directly, send me a message to my personal email. It's piaster67@hotmail.com. That's P as in Paul, IASTER 67@hotmail.com. And if you put mindset recovery in the subject line, I will get back to you. We can work something out if you need meeting schedules, if you need websites, if you just want to talk. I care, because you know what? I almost died out there. And going in the rooms and having people show me that they gave a damn about me kept me coming back. And coming back and working this program has kept me alive. And I know that my personal experiences, my family says that they've seen a great change in me. I'm healthier. I've lost weight. I've reversed diabetes. I don't do drugs anymore. I save a lot of money. I got a raise the day I quit using, because I quit pissing away money on stupid shit. So, you know, if you want to do something different with your life, this program will help you. There's a 12-step program out there with your name on it. So this is Roberto signing off, and, you know, fight the good fight, and hit me up if you need to. If nobody told you today, you're worth it.